All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about the one thing, the one universal truth that separates the truly great teams from, well, everyone else. And here's a hint. It has nothing to do with talent, and it's definitely not about luck.
So let me ask you this, and really think about it. Whether we're talking about sports, business, or the military, what is that one thing? What's the biggest differentiator?
It's this right here. It's the disciplined, the continuous, and yeah, the often painful process of preparation. What's so fascinating to me is that it's all about the work that happens long before the performance ever counts.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain on this so-called secret. The foundation of all peak performance isn't some complex secret strategy. Nope, it's an unwavering, almost obsessive commitment to preparation.
And you know there's really no better model for this on the entire planet than the U.S. Navy SEALs. Their success in the most high-stakes situations imaginable is never an accident. It is forged, literally forged, in the fires of their training.
And just look at how these parallels line up. It's incredible. A life-or-death mission? That's your market-shifting crisis. Enemy combatants? Those are your aggressive competitors. And the chaos, the exhaustion, the stress, the pressure, that stuff is universal. The stakes might feel different, but the human response to being under fire, that's exactly the same.
This brings us to a super important point about how this kind of training is actually built. It's about intentionally stepping past what's comfortable, because we're finding out that's the only place where real growth actually happens.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. The training is harder than the real thing. Now, this isn't about being mean. It is a profound leadership strategy. They are deliberately inoculating their teams against chaos and pressure before they ever have to face it for real.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Training is the safe place to fail. It's the lab where you can push your limits and screw up when the only consequences are a bit of frustration and a whole lot of sweat. You pay that price up front so you don't have to pay the real price later. It's such a powerful way to think about it.
And this, right here, is a direct challenge to how so many of us operate. If your training drills, your practice runs, your role-playing, if it's all predictable and comfortable, you're not helping your team. You are setting them up to fail, because reality is never in easy mode.
But look, just being tough isn't the whole story. What's really interesting is that even the most intense training in the world is completely useless if it isn't built on a solid foundation. So, let's talk about the basics, the absolute non-negotiables.
It's so easy to get excited about the flashy moves, the advanced new tactics. But elite performers know that mastery isn't about flash. It's about executing the simple, core skills flawlessly, every single time, especially when everything's going sideways.
And this shows you exactly what those fundamentals look like in the business world. For sales, it's not a clever closing line. It's just deeply listening to the customer. For engineering, it's not some wild new algorithm. It's writing clean, reliable code. For a leader, it's communicating with absolute clarity. It's all about nailing the basics.
So, how do you get those fundamentals to be so solid they're basically automatic? The answer is simple, but it's not easy. It's the power of repetition. This is how you forge conscious practice into unconscious instinct. This is such a critical insight. We can't expect a single training day or an annual workshop to magically change behavior. It just doesn't work that way. Greatness is cultivated through persistent, ongoing practice. It's a daily commitment, not a one-time event.
The process looks just like this. You start with relentless repetition. Over time, that action becomes an ingrained habit. And once it's a habit, under pressure, it becomes an instinctive response. You see, when the pressure hits, you don't have time to think. Your team will just default to their highest level of training.
And all of this is what it takes to build a real training culture. And what that means is that training isn't an optional add-on. It's not something you get to when you have spare time or extra budget. No, it has to be a core, non-negotiable part of your business that leaders champion, just like finance or operations.
So let's bring this all home. The philosophy is really simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Train hard so that winning feels easy. You have to prepare for a world that simply does not have a pause button.
This quote from Colonel David Hackworth just says it all, doesn't it? There is a direct, unbreakable line between how hard your preparation is and how well your team performs when it counts.
Because the truth is, the real world is totally unforgiving. Your biggest competitor isn't going to call a timeout. A market disruption won't politely wait for you to finish your meeting. Adversity is coming.
The only question is whether or not you'll be ready for it.
And that leaves every single leader with this one fundamental question. When that moment arrives, and believe me, it will, what is your team going to do? Will they rise to the occasion relying on instinct that was forged through tough, realistic training, or will they crumble under a pressure they were never actually prepared for? You see, the answer to that question isn't decided in the heat of the moment. It's decided long before that. It's decided in the training you do today. Because the teams that win, in business and in life, are always the ones who train the hardest.